Hello, Durud and Shalom, everyone. I'm here with Lauren Witzke. So, hi, Lauren. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, guys, I before you do anything else, just make sure you follow our guest on her X account. I'm gonna put it in the live chat. Also, the link is in the description. So, Lauren, you are—I don't know if that's fair. You are. People call you. I look at your descriptions of you. Everybody's calling you far right. But I think you didn't accept that description. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? So that people, our audience, are more familiar with you. You ran for Senate, I see. You were a Republican politician, activist. Is that fair? But so many people call you far right. I don't know if that's fair. Would you accept that? Let
Well,
us know a little bit.
I think far right is more sane. I guess you would consider Obama far right back in the 1990s because he was anti-gay marriage, or Joe Biden back in the 80s would be considered far right, which is just the standard, I think, Christian American values. I guess if that's what they call it now, sure, but I just call myself sane.
Sane. Okay. Okay. So what does that mean? Can you let us know about what you do, your activities? You have a huge following, I see on X. So you have been influential and very controversial. So let us know a little bit about yourself, so we can know a little bit more about you.
Sure, sure. So I would consider myself more a Christian activist. I'm a staunch Christian conservative. I value the nuclear family, Jesus Christ, and everything He's done for America and our families, and just really supportive of the addiction. I'm big into addiction activism as well. I am recovering myself. I came back from the depths of despair, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I'm really involved in recovery programs and supporting people who have overcome addiction as well. So I would say I'm a Christian activist, but I'm also an addictions activist. Is that how you would word it? But I'm anti-immigration. I'm anti-transgender. I'm anti-LGBTQ. They can call me a homophobic or whatever they call me. Sure. I'm not really afraid of them. I wouldn't say I'm a phobic of homosexuality, but I am vehemently opposed to it. And I think that's probably what I'm most known for, is my anti-LGBTQ activism. But I do a lot of other stuff behind the scenes.
Okay, we could actually do a show about each one of these topics. So today we're focusing on Israel. Would you be interested in doing some future shows about immigration, LGBT? If okay, if you let's try to see if you're happy with this show, maybe you could come back on and we could talk about those other things. So, what are your? Oh, by the way, what has been your political activism? You ran for Senate at some point, I see.
Yes.
And what are your okay? And you're trying to are you going to do that again? What are your plans? What are you trying to do? Like what are your programs, the things that you're doing right now?
Well, I don't have any future plans yet. If I feel called to run for office again, maybe. I do have my eye on a particular seat. We'll see what happens. As of right now, no political aspirations moving forward, but that could change. But
Okay.
yes,
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention congratulations on beating your addiction, and
thank you.
it's really nice that you're also helping other people. That's very nice. So, what about your views on Israel? What are your views on Israel, the current conflict in between Israel and Gaza, and the Islamic Republic, and United States supports for Israel? Yeah, let us know about that.
Sure. So when I ran for Senate, I ran as an America First candidate. I saw a lot, I learned a lot, and I garnered my position based on my own experiences of what I saw. So I more so take the position of Thomas Massey, America First, foreign aid is unconstitutional, where no American taxpayer, we don't work 40 hours a week to feed our families and all this stuff and do all these jobs to pay a foreign country for 30% of our income to go to a foreign country. They take our tax dollars. And what happened, I saw what happened on October 7th. From the get-go, I knew something was up. So there are documented reports and evidence of Netanyahu funding Hamas. Of course, he wanted to destabilize the region. The fact that America has been giving Israel billions and billions of dollars every year, and they have the most secure, they have a border wall. We don't have a border wall, but they have a border wall. They have the most secure system, the entire place. I mean, I think it's mandated for everybody to join the IDF at some point, whether that's as a desk jockey or a soldier with boots on the ground. Like, you have to be involved in Israel's security from like birth. Like, you are designated, you have to do it. And they have the most secure state in the region. And on October 7th, it happened. The event happened. I saw the videos and everything like that. And I ended up going to an event, and I ran into a Jewish lady there who, she does a lot of activism in Israel for pro-life causes. And I was speaking with her, and she showed me an email she received from her rabbi that she worked with over there. He was another pro-life rabbi. Surprisingly, there's a lot of pushback for the pro-life movement in Israel, which is surprising because it's the Holy Land. But well, that's another issue. But she got this email from her rabbi basically saying, and I guess he was really well connected with some people within the IDF there, the government there, and he said that there was a 7-hour stand down order. And everything surrounding that event did not make sense to me. Why would Netanyahu sacrifice his own people and allow these terrorists to come in and murder people that were attending a concert near the border of Gaza? And the more I investigated, the more it disturbed me. And the more, like, this is just, it's escalated so quick. It wasn't just get revenge and get our hostages back. It escalated into something now. Okay, now they're expanding, and now it's going into, okay, now they're bombing Lebanon. Now we're going into war with Iran, and it's just expanding. And it goes back, all of it goes back to October 7th. And you can't tell me that Israel did not know that was coming. A year before October 7th, they received a report about Hamas. They were going to do the same thing. They were going to do the exact same. It was planned. It was orchestrated. It was planned. The way they came in, the way that they were going to take the hostages and go through the kibbutzes, they were informed. IDF knew that this attack was coming. Netanyahu knew this attack was coming. And you can't convince me any differently that he didn't allow it to happen, because he needed to garner America's support, global support for his expansion of what he's trying to do. He's trying to take out Gaza. I mean, he's trying to ethnically cleanse it, take it over, make it a part of Israel. That's what he wants to do. And when she showed me this email about the stand down order, I got that like feeling in that pit of my stomach. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what kind of leader would sacrifice their own people, for, his own interests? And, there's a lot of evidence surrounding October 7th that makes me think that this was a long planned, orchestrated plan to, drag America into a war. You have to garner support. America at the time was not going to support war. They were not going to send American kids to die for Israel at that time. There was a lot of public sentiment against war. We'd just gotten out of a 20-year war. We were done. They had to do something extreme in order to drag us in. And I do believe October 7th was a setup to allow that to happen.
All right. So there's a lot of points there. First of all, I've seen a lot of people claim that there was a stand down order for 7 hours. I haven't seen a single credible evidence for that order, other than, just people claiming that that happened.
Right.
If you could send me that evidence, like if you do have any evidence, I would be glad to see it. But I haven't seen any that order actually being made. Also,
don't you find the whole thing suspicious? That, that they allegedly like flew in on golf carts, like it was it was crazy.
No. Yeah. So Israel is very impressive when it comes to its defense, but it's not perfect. Throughout its history, there has been so many mistakes. The thing is that Israel sometimes impresses the world with its defense and when it's military capabilities, and I think they are a victim of their own success because they raise expectations to a point where every time they fail at something, everybody thinks that there must be a conspiracy, because how could a country so great fail at anything? But
Right.
if you actually look at their history, they do have also a record of failures. And the attack happened at a time that it was a holiday, there were less people active. And
Hmm.
also, when it comes to Israel knowing about the attack, Israel gets so a huge volume of warnings all the time, that there's going to be attacks. And I know these groups, like I understand Hamas and the Islamic Republic. I am from Iran myself, so I understand these groups, and they do this thing that we call rajas khoni in Iran, which is constantly they do marketing that they're going to attack any day, all the time. So you cannot take all of it seriously. Like, a lot of it is just BS. Um, so just because they got a report that they're going to attack, it doesn't really mean that they took it seriously, because if they wanted to take that seriously, they would have to take so many other reports like that turned out to be nothing seriously as well. um, Also, I do agree that Netanyahu did support Hamas financially before October 7th,
Yes.
and I do agree that that was bad, and I'm against that. I'm really against him doing that. My understanding is that his wrong philosophy over that was to divide and conquer the so-called Palestinians,
Hmm.
but because he wanted to make sure that the Palestinian Authority doesn't have the upper hand. Again, I'm not supporting it. I'm just saying that was his reasoning,
Yeah.
and and it backfired. But when
Stability.
it comes to bringing, but even Netanyahu's plan was not to take over Gaza, because even Netanyahu was supporting programs that gave job to people in Gaza
Right.
during his to de-radicalize them. That was the plan that Israel was working on. And even right now, if you think the plan was to get support for Israel,
Yes.
that we didn't get support for Israel. The world hates Israel more than ever before right now,
It's
ever since October
a
7th.
little out of control, though, like the bombing of toddlers and babies. However, I'm going to push back on the evidence that you
Okay.
had mentioned. So there was an eyewitness from the kibbutzes. Her name was Yasmin Porat. So she did an interview 2 days after October 7th. So I guess it was October 9th. She went on the news and did an interview. She was living in the kibbutzes. They had called for help. They had reached out, I guess, to IDF or whatever. It was 3 hours they sat and waited for help on October 7th. It took them 3 hours. So they had warning. They had forewarning. IDF knew that they were there. They were in the kibbutzes. They were taking people hostage. And she said, the eyewitness said, she said that IDF took them 3 hours to get there. And when they came in, they just killed everybody without restraint. IDF was shooting Israelis. They were killing, they were killing, of course, Hamas, but they were killing Israelis. They were killing children. They just unloaded on them. And you can't tell me that's just a mistake. You know what I'm saying? It took them 3 hours to get there. And then 3 hours to get there. And then when they got there, they just killed everyone. Like, she was the only survivor. And she was, we never heard from her again. She was pulled from the news. That segment, I think, was pulled down, and nobody's heard from Yasmin Porat since. Why would he? You can't tell me that they are so untrained, or that there are so many mistakes, quote unquote, that they would just go in and kill their own people without remorse. And then after that, you have the hostages, Israel, or you have the Israeli hostages in Gaza. They're just bombing them. Like, you don't know where the hostages are, and you're just bombing the crap out of the region. I mean, I'm not a military leader or whatever, but I can tell you, like, how do you know your people aren't there? You can tell that he has Netanyahu, and there was the reports of the Hannibal. I think it was the Hannibal.
Hannibal directive.
Yeah. What do you think about that? I couldn't verify that,
So
but
so first of all, I think there's always, like, when the United States takes part in battle against their enemies, there always some friendly fire. So I don't know, for example, United States killed so many Americans in Vietnam. I think it was thousands of Americans were killed by friendly fire in Vietnam, right? So That's a natural part of
Technology
any
has
war.
advanced since then. Back then, like, I mean, now there's kind of no.
American has killed Americans even in modern times fighting ISIS. So
Yes.
that happens all the time. I think a lot of people have exaggerated. If you actually look at all the investigation, yes, there are some people who died by friendly fire, but
Mhm.
it wasn't like they were just shooting just randomly at Israelis, right? It was a very chaotic situation, and they
Right.
were caught off guard, which explains the delay. But it wasn't. I mean, every single investigation I saw, I mean, Israelis admit that people died with friendly fire, and there's a lot of investigations trying to figure out what happened and why it happened, and they also admit mistakes, but there's nothing that shows that it was on purpose. Like, there's nothing that shows that it was on purpose, that they were just started shooting at their own people. I mean, why would they need that? Israel, you suggest that they're doing that so that they could get Americans involved. I
Get the
mean, no
yeah.
Americans got involved. Like, America didn't get involved. America didn't send any.
We're very
Hmm?
involved now. America's
How?
extremely involved. I mean, we've given you tons in military aid, billions of dollars in military aid since October 7th. Netanyahu's been in
How?
D.C. every other like month, it seems. He was just here, and every time they get
Are you talking about the $3 billion that they're sending every year?
in
Because
addition.
that's
I'm talking about military aid. America has sent Israel. Rubio just signed off on a bunch of stuff too, like a month ago. Yeah, I mean, we're talking billions and billions of
Are
dollars.
you
And
talking about weapons sales? Because America gets paid for that.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by sales?
So
Like,
if you're talking about a whole bunch of weapons being sent to Israel,
no, I'm talking.
that's money coming back to America that gets spent on, that gets basically spent on creating American jobs,
That is their excuse for.
creating American weapons.
Yes, that is what the foreign aid, the $3 billion in foreign aid per year, they justify it by saying that America purchases that equipment. But since October 7th, America has freely given tons of military aid since October 7th, freely, not purchasing, not nothing. I mean, we've been giving them weapons. We've been giving them our own weapons were used to kill Americans over in, I think it was Lebanon. American family died because IDF was targeting a terrorist, and they used our technology, our military technology, to kill a family in Lebanon just last week. And you're right, they do make a lot of mistakes. And every time I read the articles, it's like, oh, yeah, Israel, we didn't mean to kill those civilians, but we're investigating it. And there's so many excuses of them. We're investigating it. Oh, it was an oopsie. It was an oops. Like, it's crazy. That was just unrelated. But anyway, military aid to Israel since October 7th. I'm talking about additionally on top of the 3 billion, which they do use to justify that foreign aid, is because they're like, oh, they spend it with us. They buy our military stuff. No, we have given extra on top of that since October 7th to help them, against Hamas. And that was not purchased equipment. Marco Rubio just signed off on it a couple months ago. I'm going to look it up, if you don't mind, the exact, so I can give you the exact number. So
these numbers are very low compared to how much US saves by having Israel fight US's enemies in the Middle East. I think United States has saved so much more.
like, I mean,
So
how
regard
my enemy over here?
huh?
I see. I can't.
How is Hamas America's enemies?
For, because they try to say, oh, it's our only democracy in the Middle East. We need Israel because they are the only. They're over 5,000 miles away. How does what goes on over there affect me here? Except for when they bring them here through botched immigration policies, if you believe the official story of 9/11.
Well, do you know why they're fighting Israel? Okay, well, so you're saying Israel is fighting America's enemies in the Middle East, and the whole plan is for them to destroy Israel so that eventually they could get to the United States. That is the plan. Like, this, all of this is coming from the Islamic Republic in Iran, all of this is being funded, trained, and supported by the Islamic Republic in Iran with the intention to eventually annihilate the United States. They call Israel the little Satan, and they call the US the big Satan. Their understanding, I mean, I'm Iranian. This was my childhood indoctrination since like elementary school, high school. We were told constantly that phase one of the plan was to remove the Pahlavi dynasty. Phase two is to remove Israel from the Middle East. Phase three is to go for the head of the beast, which is the United States, and
Mhm.
destroy, this imperialist, Western imperialist order, and bring Islam to the whole world. That is the plan. So Israel is standing in the way of them, and basically them destroying the United States. That is who Israel is fighting.
That sounds good in theory. We were told that same line. We fight them over there, so we don't have to fight them here, and that's why we were in the Middle East for the last 20 years post 9/11. And
But it
I
is true.
don't see how
It
they
is
don't have
true.
nukes. They don't have nukes. They don't have the ability to reach us from over there. So how is it beneficial for us to send our American kids, our military equipment over there to fight to defend us and our nation, our sovereignty, our borders when we
Well,
have war on the southern border ourselves? Like I don't see
well
how fitting a fight
they're
over.
not able to reach you because Israel has stopped them. They don't have a nuclear weapon because every time they were getting close to they want a nuclear weapon.
This has been
Every time they were getting
between
close to a nuclear weapon, Israel stopped them every single time.
right, but we're talking
So you
about
should be grateful to Israel,
going on
huh?
since biblical times. Like you guys have had that conflict. Israel has had that conflict since the times of the Bible. Like it has always been there. That conflict has always been there. The United States came way later. So you can't say that we are intentionally, Israel is fighting our war because it's a war they've been fighting
But
years.
the conflict is a global conflict. The Islamic ambition is world domination, and you're saying you haven't felt it yet. Okay, I mean, you did feel it kind of in 9/11, right? But the reason why you haven't felt it as much is because Israel has been in the way. I mean, the Islamic Republic was getting close to having a nuclear weapon. I mean, the situation that you're not experiencing that you would have if Israel was not there is basically what you experienced with the Soviet Union as your enemy, and before that with the Nazis as your enemy, right? This was supposed to become a huge global bloc against Western powers. So after the fall of the Soviet Union, this was supposed to replace it, either an Arab empire or an Islamic empire as anti-Western imperial order against the Western imperialism, as they call it. It never happened because they actually recognize this. They recognize that their ambitions to create an Islamic empire was stopped every single time because they consider Israel to be a tumor in the Middle East that is stopping them every time that they're trying to create this empire. And this
Right.
empire is meant to be created as a way to fight Darul Kufr, like the house of in the house of unbelief. You're infidels, they're Muslims, they're supposed to be fighting you. Israel is stopping them.
So why are they displacing, if that is true, why are they driving Gazans out and driving them into Europe? Why are we taking the refugees? If there are enemies
They're
and
not.
to kill us, why are we taking them? Why are
Okay,
they
so it's not Gazans that are coming to Europe. They were Syrians mostly and North Africans.
okay? But they are sending them elsewhere, so they are displacing the Gazan
But
people.
it's not Israel. Israel is not sending them there. That was Assad.
They're
That
displacing.
was the Arab Spring.
They are
Okay, so
just
that was not the Arab Spring and Assad basically being oppressing his own people. That is not Israel's fault. And
right.
also they're not removing people from Gaza. The plan is to allow people from Gaza who want to leave to be able to leave. And also they're not killing toddlers in Gaza.
Yes,
The,
they are.
the toddlers are being killed in Gaza because Hamas is using them as human shields.
They,
Israel has done more than any army in the world to try to reduce civilian casualties.
Hamas makes up
No
one
army in the
population. Hamas makes up 1% of the population in Gaza, and they have bombed them and attacked them and murdered children. That is
Ham-
not like say that isn't true. That is very true. And they have bombed hospitals, they've bombed churches where refugees refugees and victims of these attacks were receiving medical care. And they use the excuse over and over, oh, they're using these kids as human shields. It's not our fault. They make up 1% of the population, and they have wiped Gaza. It's just they're turning it into a parking lot and starting over, displacing those people. They're driving them out. They don't want them there. Netanyahu has made it very clear there is no two-state solution. It is not going to happen. They have to go. Like, they don't want them there, and they'll kill them if they can. But, right now they're just driving them out and displacing them in other places. A lot of people are going to end up here.
So nobody is leaving Gaza. Like, the border is very secure right now, right? So the refugees that are coming to Europe are coming from other places in the Middle East. They're not coming from Gaza. Okay, like the blockade there from the Egyptian border and the Israeli border is very, very tight. People are not getting out of Gaza right now. And also, Hamas is not 1% of Gaza. Hamas is a much bigger percentage of Gaza. In fact, it's actually very difficult to decide who's Hamas and who's not. Like, would we consider somebody who sympathizes with Hamas to be Hamas or not? Or do they have to hold a weapon to be Hamas? Like, because the amount of sympathy for Hamas, I mean, I'm glad that is lower than before, to be honest, but it's way more than 1%. Like, I do when it goes lower, I do advertise it here as a way to show that the support for Hamas in Gaza has gone. Every time I look at the statistics, and when it goes down, we celebrate it on this channel, but it's not even remotely close to 1%. It's way higher than that. But what I'm saying is that Hamas, when they responded to October 7th, obviously they had to respond to October 7th. Like, when they attack, you have to respond. Like, you have to advertise your deterrent capabilities. The problem with Gaza is that it has the second highest population density in the world, all right? And also, Hamas on purpose doesn't wear a uniform when it's fighting. And this is Hamas admitting that Israel cares about civilians. Because if Hamas didn't think that Israel cares about civilians, then they would have worn a uniform. Like, this is Hamas knowing. So the strategy of not wearing your uniform only works if not wearing your uniform makes it more difficult for the IDF to target you. And if it actually does make it difficult for IDF, that only would be true if IDF is trying to not kill civilians, right? So, second highest population density, 1. 2, you're fighting an enemy that doesn't wear a uniform. And 3, you're fighting an enemy that admits that more civilians dying benefits their movement. They have said that, Hamas has said that repeatedly,
right,
that the more civilians in Gaza die, the better it is for them. So they are using human shields. They have built tunnels for themselves, but not for the people. And even with all of these things working against Israel, Israel has managed to achieve a ratio of 1.5 to 1 when it comes to the ratio of civilians dying in relationships to combatants, which is a lower number than America achieving when it was fighting ISIS. Right. Because the United States, when it was fighting ISIS, reached a ratio of 5 to 1 and 3 to 1. So Israel, in a place where everything is working against it, has managed to get a lower ratio of civilians dying, which only happens if you're trying to kill less civilians.
Right. And I'm not going to justify Hamas in their behavior of, using hospitals and stuff in order to have, they make their hospitals into headquarters and innocent civilians die. And I know that does happen. And I'm not saying, so what I'm trying to say is, how does Hamas in Gaza affect America here? Like, how is it, you keep saying they're fighting our enemy over there. They're fighting our enemy over there. But right now, you're just taking my tax dollars and killing toddlers with it, because that's what I'm seeing, because it is happening. And yes, despite Hamas using these people as human shields, I just don't see how they could be an enemy to me here all the way over there. You see what I'm saying? And I think as a Christian, my position is, what I see happening in Gaza is awful. I see Israeli chat groups on Telegram celebrating pictures of little children. They're calling them sluts and whores, and there's little babies in the rubble, and they're like, you got what you deserved. That is what I am seeing come out of Israel. And I think it's horrific. So, with that being said, I think that is just an excuse. I think it's just an excuse because it is very apparent that Israel they don't care about Gaza. They don't care about the Gazan people more so as, and Netanyahu wouldn't have funded Hamas in the first place if he cared about the Gazan people. He knew how that was going to end up. It might have backfired a little bit, but he knew it would destabilize the region. He knew that those families living in Gaza, the Christians living in Gaza, were going to end up living in complete turmoil under Hamas. And he funded it anyway because he doesn't care about those people. You can't tell me that Israel has a heart or a passion for protecting Gazan civilians, because that's not true. But the real question that we're going back to is, how does America being involved in the war with Gaza, like, how does it keep us from being attacked later? Are you saying that Hamas has the capability to potentially eventually come to America and overthrow our government? No, not really. The only way that Islam is going to take over America is by immigration policies. We keep letting them in. You're seeing it happen with Ilhan Omar. They bring in Muslim refugees. They create enclaves, and then they vote their people into power. Now we have Muslims in Congress who are implementing Islam. So really, when it comes down to it, America's number one enemy is immigration. It comes down to immigration and who we allow in. I don't believe that a war in Gaza and sending American kids to die in Gaza is going to prevent us from, Islam taking over America. It is our own issues here that we have to fix, our own policies, our own immigration policies, allowing them in. So I think we're going to agree.
Okay, so when it comes to immigration, stopping people with horrible values coming into your country, I'm completely in line with that. Needs to be part of your strategy. Okay. But the reason why that is the main way that Islam is being exported to your country is because the other way has failed. The reason why you're seeing these Islamic forces looking like they're incapable of being a threat to your country is because of Israel. Right? Like, you're looking at all these Islamic countries, you're like, I can't imagine how these people are going to do anything against the United States. Yeah, and you should be thanking Israel for them to keep for them keeping them in that position, because they were close to getting to a position where they could have been a major threat to you many times. Again, Israel has stopped Iraq, Syria, and the Islamic Republic from going nuclear. If any of these went nuclear, then you will be looking at a completely different world. And again, you when you say, like, I don't see Hamas, I don't see Hamas being a threat. I don't think Hamas being a threat to America. Well, Hamas is a small part of a much bigger force. Hamas is one of the proxies of the Islamic Republic, and the Islamic Republic has much more. It's not that just so. Hamas is basically used as a way to attack U.S.'s ally in the Middle East, right? But
Right.
there's a much bigger plan, and a lot of the immigration that you're saying coming, and it's not just immigration, by the way, because you already have in Europe and United States and Canada already an existing Muslim population there, and the Islamic Republic is trying to use them as a way to create different Islamic institutions and different media. So even if you stop immigration right now, you still have a big problem that the Islamic Republic and Qatar is just trying to use as a way to attack you from within. So that's another problem that you need to worry about. But again, I know that this would have been. I mean, we were told that this is the plan. This is not a secret plan. This is a plan that the Pan-Arabists and the Sunni powers, and now the Shia powers, have always claimed that this is part of their doctrine. They have always looked for world domination. And they also admit that removing Israel out of the way is so that they could eventually use the Middle East as a base the Middle East and North Africa as a base against Western powers. That this is, and also this is not something that we have to predict because they have already killed so many Americans. I don't know if you know, but Israel has managed, so many of the Islamic Republic has killed so many Americans in the Middle East, and United States has failed to actually eliminate them, and Israel has eliminated the people who killed Americans for America in the Middle East. And all of this would have been so much more. You're talking about your tax money. If Israel was not in the Middle East as an ally of the United States, you would have been spending so much more money and also so much more lives trying to protect yourself from all of this evil coming to your borders. It would have been so much more expensive if United States would have to get involved itself all this far away from its borders trying to stop this evil reaching its borders. It would be so difficult. Having a country that is already there as a US ally that understands the region is basically, it's kind of like a US base without. I think Israel has spent so much more fighting America's enemy than what America has given it. I think Israelis should be complaining more than Americans. I think Israelis should be saying, why are we fighting America's enemies for America without their help? Like, why are they not involved as much as we are? Every single time an Israeli soldier is being shot fighting America's enemy, that's an American soldier not being shot in his place.
Well,
These are Israeli bloods being spent instead of American blood being spent for fighting this evil.
so you're saying, okay. So, all right, we all know that Israel was established as a state in 1948. You were established as a sovereign region for the Jews in 1948. So you're saying that they were put there in order to, and actually America should be thanking Israel. That's funny. But no, here, they were always your enemies first. America is an ally to Israel. So of course we're going to give support for Israel's enemies. You try to say that Islam is an enemy to America and that their whole agenda is world dominance. Now that may be true. I don't know enough about Islam to speak either way. So I don't want to say, oh, that's not true. I do know some Muslim people that are here in America. They seem great to me. Like they own a local deli down the road from me. Some Muslims do, and they seem fine. I don't know enough about Islam to speak and say that they were world dominance, like that their goal is world dominance. They want to take out America. However, with that being said, to say that they were America's enemies first and that Israel came in to try and protect America from these enemies that are trying to take them over is kind of laughable. But why would Israel?
That's what I said.
On extent, like on it, is Israel is made it very clear that they are trying to expand. So, we talk about the Greater Israel Project. We have things where they are trying to expand their territory. So is that part of their plan to protect America? I mean, of course, countries are going to represent their own interests and do things to benefit their own interests. I respect Israel for their immigration policy. I respect Israel. And because they put their people first, they do. And Israel would always put their people first. And I wish America had the same position as Israel does on a lot of issues when it comes to keeping your nation sovereign. But why are they trying to expand territory? It's not a defense issue. It is an expansion issue now, too. And it's kind of gotten obvious. That's became very obvious. And I don't know how to respond to that because I don't know enough about Islam. How do I know that their whole goal is to take over America? I've just never heard that.
Not America, the world. But okay, so let me actually go. Let me actually go through the points that you mentioned, right?
Sure.
First of all, yes, there are many good Muslims out there. I have Muslim friends. I have Muslim friends that accept me as a friend, even though they know I'm very aggressively anti-Islam, right? So there are good Muslims. There are many good Muslims out there. I'm talking about Islam. I'm not making a general judgment about Muslims, right? and I think Muslims, many good Muslims are good because they don't really follow Islam.
Right.
And when I'm talking about Islam, I'm not making a judgment on every single Muslim. I'm basically judging Islam based on the teaching of Islam, right?
Right.
And the things that I'm telling you is based on authentic hadith.
Right.
The fact that Islam, these are the words and sayings of Muhammad, right? The fact that they want to all of the world should be at some point for Islam, and every Muslim's duty is to basically strive for that, is a
Right.
fundamental part of Islamic teaching. And even from a political perspective, throughout Islamic history, they divided the world into Darul Islam and Darul Harb, basically House of Islam and House of War. So the entire world is either part of Islam or is part of war. This is the understanding of how they look at the world, right? And talking about generalization, when you mentioned there were some Israelis that were celebrating the killing of children. I mean, I haven't seen that, but I'm pretty sure that exists because I know evil exists in every single country. And I
Right.
don't want to judge every country based on the evil people that live there because no country would survive that judgment. I mean, the United States would not survive that judgment because I'm pretty sure we have evil people in the United States as well, right? No country will pass that. Israel has many good people. Israel has many bad people, just like every other country. And we could basically point to both of them. I don't want to judge an entire country based on the evil people that they have, right? And also, I didn't mention that they are America's enemies first. I just said that they consider Israel to be the little Satan and America to be the big Satan because of the power that they have, but they consider them both equally their enemy, like not one first and the other one second. They want to destroy both of them. And I mean, Israel is also Jewish, so Islam has a huge record of being anti-Jewish. So obviously, they consider them an enemy. So this is not about who's
But that blood war has
which
been going on since the beginning of time. Muslims versus or Islam versus
the
Judaism.
but the war between Islam no but the war between Islam and unbelievers, that's also been since the beginning of Islam. So America is the house of unbelief, and that
Fair.
has been part of their ideology from the very beginning. It's not about it's about mutual interests, right? It's not about it's not that Israel is fighting America's enemies as a favor to America. It's that they're fighting America's enemies because their enemies, America's enemies, happens to be their enemy. And America became a great country historically because of its allies. I mean, in the modern world, any country that becomes great is because it understands international relationship, it has strong allies, and it maintains the relationships with those allies. That's how America became such a great country. So it makes sense that if you have another country that shares common enemies with you and has some shared values with you, that you cooperate with them and you support each other and you have each other's back. That's just common sense. That's just how allyship works, right?
Like
And also with regard to
Israel is
what?
America's ally, and that is why America has come in backing Israel. However, we have seen Trump recently put out a statement saying that Gaza or that Netanyahu would not be taking the West Bank. Like we've had to put kind of
Right.
restraints on Netanyahu because he seems to have gone a little overboard. Do you find him overzealous a little bit, perhaps, or are you in full support of everything that Netanyahu has been doing in
No.
response to the war?
I mean, okay, so with regards to West Bank, I will tell you, I understand why they want to keep the West Bank. I'll tell you why, but I haven't supported everything that I have been criticizing many things that Netanyahu has done before October 7th, right? But I appreciate the disagreement that Israel and America have over the West Bank from an
Right.
Israeli perspective. So when it comes to expansionism, Israel is not trying to expand beyond Gaza and West Bank because it's like Israel, the Greater Israel Project would not go beyond Gaza and West Bank. I mean, Israel gets accused of being expansionist, even though Israel has given up more land than any other country in the world willingly for the sake of peace. They have given up land more than the Israel today for the sake of peace with Egypt and Gaza and Jordan. It's really, I think it's very funny that the country that has given up more land than any other country for the sake of peace constantly gets accused of being expansionist. But when it comes to the West Bank, I mean, the experience with Gaza kind of shows why many Israelis would say, like, yeah, we shouldn't give up on West Bank, because they gave up on Gaza, right? Like they left Gaza. The whole world was telling Israel that if you evacuate Gaza and let the so-called Palestinians have Gaza to themselves and have their own nations, have their own state, that would bring peace. And Israel was like, okay, let's try that. And with no conditions, they left Gaza. Not only, and I remember I was a kid, Israeli soldiers were in Gaza forcing Jews, basically, they were kicking and screaming. They were dragging Jews on the ground to pull them out of Gaza. And they dug up their bones of Jews out of Gaza to make sure that there are no Jews left in Gaza. And by the way, talk about apartheid, because Arabs are safe in Israel, but Jews are not safe in Gaza. But
Right.
but then what happened?
Is and all that over there in that territory. So I mean, and why would Netanyahu fund Hamas? Like, that's the thing. Like, it
No,
comes.
I will get to that. No,
Right.
but let's go to one point at a time. But I'm just saying, look at, so yeah, I agree with the funding Hamas part. I
Mhm.
completely agree that was I'm against Netanyahu on that point. Like, I'm completely against that. Okay, but but you're asking about West Bank. I'm just saying, look at Israelis experience with Gaza. Sorry, what?
I'm talking about defense versus expansion, where it's gone from, okay, we're just defending ourselves, we need our hostages back, to, okay, we're trying to expand the nation, or the region of Israel.
No,
Is
but
do like it's
but do you see my point? Do you see the Israelis' experience with evacuating an area to give the Palestinians the chance to run their own place? And what happened? The Palestinians elected Hamas and declared war on Israel on day one, and they started destroying everything that Israel had built in Gaza that they could have used for their own prosperity. They destroyed all of it because it was Jewish made, and they started using all their resources to annihilate Israel instead of building their own country. And now we have October 7th. So Israel was like, yeah, okay, we're not doing that again. Like, you told us to do this with Gaza, you promised us that this will make them, de-radicalize them and make them peaceful. We tried it and they became more radical. So why would we listen to you with the West Bank when we already tried this with Gaza and it backfired? So
right. I mean, see, here's the thing. It's been a very long conflict between the Israeli people and the Gazan people and that territory in that region. It has, I don't know all the details of it. You probably do know more, and you probably do know what goes on the ground there. I only have what I have been told and what I read. I've never been there. I haven't seen it myself. I have been told by people that have gone there that, if a Gazan kid wanders too close to the fence, IDF will shoot him. I've seen reports of stuff like that happening, where the Israelis severely mistreat the Gazan people. I have seen and been told of things they do where they cut off their water and that kind of stuff that Israel is kind of doing to kind of provoke the Gazan people. You just kind of beat up on them a bit because they are more powerful than them. And, that is, they have all the control. And then Hamas is kind of the radical wing of the Gazan people that promise to defend them and, just take on Israel. And I know that conflict is deep, and I know it's very complex, and I don't know all the details of it.
right.
I'm here to discuss with you America's involvement. So that's the thing. I'm not here to discuss, is Israel right or wrong, or are the Gazan people right or wrong. I am here to kind of defend my position that America, it is not our fight. And it doesn't affect us, and that we should not be involved in something like that. I certainly don't think we should be paying for something like that. I think, what I have seen come out of Gaza is just, it's awful. Like, it's just really bad scenes coming out of Gaza that I do, as a Christian, do not feel comfortable paying for or supporting in any way. So I'm here to defend my position that America should not be involved in the war. And you say that it's because they're fighting our enemy too. Well, as an ally of Israel, they became our enemy. say, Gaza was our Israel now and they're our greatest ally, then we would be backing our ally. It's just because you're our ally and it's
Who
you fight your enemy that
would be your
America is
ally?
forced to defend, and come in and help. It's not
Sorry. Who would be your ally?
say the Gaza or say Palestine was our enemy or our ally was the United States ally, then Israel would be our
Okay,
enemy because Israel is our ally
but
and you are in that fight.
but again, they would never be your ally. Their whole point of the movement is to destroy all of you.
That's what you
The
said.
whole point. I mean, yeah, the whole point. I mean, let me tell you something. I mean, I could send you material to read. I could send you material.
I just don't think some goat herders over in Gaza can come over, and I just don't think that they can.
They're not just goat herders in Gaza. They are people. They have a lot of oil and they spend it on technology and weaponry. And the reason why they look so insignificant to you is because Israel did a very good job. That's why they look very insignificant to you. But they
Maybe
would never have been your. They would have never been your ally. It's part of their ideology to completely destroy you. I mean, if all the plan, the entire plan from day one was to destroy Israel because they are your ally in the region, so that they could get to you. I mean, they don't hide this. I could send you material to read. They do not hide this. There is no befriending these people. It's in their ideology that they could never befriend you. I mean, it's in the verse of the Quran that they could never befriend you. It would be against their religion to be your allies.
right. But also, I mean, if
And-
we go into Israeli text and the Talmud, we could talk about how they feel about us, really, too. And
yeah, but Israel is the difference. The different. I mean, okay, the Talmud is not actually.
we're
The
going in
Talmud is not actually the core text of Jews, and the Quran is the core text of Muslims, and the Hadith is.
where
The
they,
Talmud is basically a whole bunch of rabbis fighting against each other
yeah,
over what the Torah says. So there's a that's
I'm not
so if you
defending.
want to actually,
I'm not defending Islam. Please make that very clear. Like, I'm
yeah,
not defending Islam. I'm just saying that I do not think that they would have. I think we're backing Israel because they're our ally, and that is why America is involved. I don't think it is because they would have reached us. I don't think that. I mean, but we can't tell because we don't know the future. We don't know what would have happened if
do you
Israel
know?
wasn't
Do
there.
you know that Do you agree that Iraq was about to get a nuclear weapon and Israel stopped it? Do you know that Syria was about to get a nuclear weapon and Israel stopped it? And do you know that the Islamic Republic was about to get a nuclear weapon and Israel stopped it? These are verified facts.
Yeah. Okay. So also, we were told that they had weapons of mass destruction. Afghanistan, the Middle East had
No,
it. We've been
no, those are not verified facts. This is verified. No, the fact. Oh, okay. The fact that Israel.
He was
No, this is not even disputed. This is not even disputed even by anti-Israelis.
okay.
Saddam was about to get a nuclear weapon. Israel stopped it. Syria was about to get a nuclear weapon. Israel stopped it. The Islamic Republic was about to get a nuclear weapon. Israel stopped it. These are like the WMDs of
But
Saddam that was made up, but these are verified facts. This is no disputing this.
okay. I mean, that is a fair assumption. I'll have to look into it. I'm not gonna
Okay,
say.
and I'm gonna send you the ideology of this whole Islamic thing.
No,
Maybe
I know.
would you?
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I know what they are. I know what they are.
Okay.
And I know
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I don't know. But what I was saying is, I don't know how deep that conflict goes between Jews and Islam and all of that. And I know there's a lot there that I am not a value asset in speaking on. And you may be very well correct that they stopped, them from getting nuclear weapons. And that's why America should support Israel. And that's why we should continue backing them. However, when it comes down to it, should America still involve themselves in this and see this through? And that is where I think America, I think we've given enough that it's now time to end this war and this conflict and come to a solution, because it is going to continue on and on and on. And we are approaching a peace deal. Trump is telling Hamas and Netanyahu that they have to take it. Hopefully we are coming to the end of this conflict. Whether Netanyahu allowed it to happen, allowed his people to die in order to garner global support for this war, which he wasn't successful in, it's what we're coming to is hopefully we are coming to an agreement of peace.
Okay.
So,
I just want. I know that you don't want to discuss, but because you said it, I'm just going to quickly respond to it. It'll be very quick regarding provoking the Gazans. I just want to say that Israel was trying to de-radicalize Gaza by giving jobs to people in Gaza so that they could have economic prosperity. So I wouldn't say that's provoking. I would say that was trying to do the best for the people in Gaza so that they have hope for the future instead of trying to destroy Israel. Also, when it comes to starving Gaza with regards to food, Israel has moved more calories into a war zone than any other country ever in the history of modern warfare. So uh, Israel is not starving in Gaza. That actually they have since October 7th they have moved 3,000 calories per person per day to Gaza. The reason why some people in Gaza are starving is because Hamas steals the food and sells at triple the price to the people in Gaza. And when it comes to water, the water that you're talking about that was cut for a short period of time is the water that Israel actually gifts to Gaza with lower using taxpayer of Israeli people lower with a lower price as a gift to the people in Gaza. And actually, if it was Hamas that actually digs up the water pipes from the ground in Gaza and turns them into missile. So Israel actually builds water pipes for the people in Gaza, and Hamas digs them out and turns them into missiles to shoot them in Israel. So I just wanted to also point that out. Okay, but
that is true.
Yeah.
I did know that Israel supplied Gaza with water. I did know that, and I did. So it's just a very weird situation over there that you have two very hostile territories living right next to each other, and it's what is the solution? They can't live. According to each side, we can't coexist together. Okay, and then Gaza says, I'm not leaving. Israel says, I'm not leaving. And it has become a bloodbath over there. So what is the solution? This has been a conflict going on for years and years and years between the two. What is the solution? It is, we're kind of stuck in the middle.
Regime change in Iran. That's the solution.
How is regime change in Iran
because
solution?
all of this is coming from the Islamic Republic inside Iran.
Okay.
All of the funding and all the resources and all the training. So if there's a regime change in Iran, then all of this will dry up.
And you're thinking that America's involvement in regime change in Iran would have, you can't do it without.
United States doesn't have to be involved. It's just United States doesn't even need to support Israel anymore. United States just needs to not get in Israel's way. That's all. That's all we want from United States. And United States doesn't even have to be involved in regime change. Israel is doing a very good job. And honestly, I think a lot of Israelis would suggest that maybe United States shouldn't give the $3 billion to Israel anymore because the $3 billion is actually a very small amount. And if it's getting this much negativity to Israel, Israel probably would do better with that $3 billion anyways. So maybe we should cut the $3 billion because Israel's military budget is so much bigger than $3 billion anyway. And all we want from United States is to just not stop Israel when it's doing its job so effectively. That's all we want. We don't want US troops in the Middle East. We don't want US military support in the Middle East. We just want United States to just give the green light to Israel to do what it does so effectively. That's all we're asking.
I see. No, that's interesting. Okay, but I thought you were fighting our enemies. That's how we go from we're fighting this enemy for you, or we need you to stay out of our way. So it's kind of changing.
No, because
changing. So
that doesn't negate what I said, because last time, for example, Trump has been a better ally to Israel than the Democrats. But last time when Israel was fighting the Islamic Republic in Iran, Trump stopped them from finishing the job, right? So Trump ordered Israel for some reason to basically return the pilots, and Israel actually did that. And if it didn't, Khamenei might have been dead by now, and we would all be done with all of this nonsense.
What happened to the peace accords we had? We had peace, and now it's Also, I will
October 7th happened.
I do support. do know that the people, the women, especially of Iran, want freedom. Like, it is a very oppressive society that they're living in. I know that they won't even let the people of Iran have a Bible that is in Persian language, or else they are going to be executed with the death penalty. I know that what's going on over there is very bad. And I know that if there was regime change in Iran, that it would result in a better situation for Christians. Look at what happened with Assad in Syria. With the Christians, they had a leader who was protecting them, and now it is death penalty for Christians. I see that and I recognize that. And as a fellow Christian, I do support new leadership in Iran. I do not support Islam, just to make that clear. Okay. And I
Right.
do think that and when I joined this debate, I read through your page and I said, I don't really know what we're going to debate, because I agree with you on a lot of things. And I think what's going on over there is terrible. And I think it's oppressive. And I think that there are a lot of people in Iran that want to topple their own government. They want regime change. And I do support that. I wouldn't mind that happening. But, also, is that what Israel's plan is? Are they going to, is their goal regime change in Iran? Or what do you think that is?
So Israel has said that the only way that regime change could happen in Iran is if the Iranian people topple the regime. So it's basically the Iranian people's choice.
Yeah.
However, the
Yeah.
attacks on Islamic Republic on the regime in Iran will basically remove a lot of the barriers for the Iranian people, because the regime is very armed and the Iranian people are not armed at all, and they have basically no weapons. And basically, when Israel comes in and they start removing the heads of IRGC and some of the people who are responsible for, riot control, and many other of the bases that basically are responsible for suppressing the Iranian people, that will basically make the cost that the Iranian, because the Iranian people have came out to the streets so multiple times and they have paid the highest price for it. The Islamic Republic kills them, rapes both men and women as punishment in prison. I don't know if you know that. Blinds them, tortures their family as a way to demotivate them so that next time they don't come at protest. And the Iranian people just come into the streets with no arms in their hand, and basically the regime comes out with everything, and it's basically they cannot topple the regime if they like this. They have tried so many times and they have paid a huge price. So when Israel comes into Iran and basically kills the heads of IRGC, the same people who command their forces to kill the Iranian people celebrate that. And eventually, right now, the internal, because there's a power vacuum in the 12-day war, so many of the heads of IRGC were killed, that now, because of the power vacuum created, there's an internal conflict between the politics of the Islamic Republic, and that's making the Islamic Republic weaker and weaker. And at some point, if they continue becoming this weak, when the Iranian people come into the streets, maybe at some point there would be nobody stopping them. That's what the Iranian people are hoping, and that's why so many Iranian people support Israel.
No, that's interesting. And I actually see the videos of that, of people, Iranians who are like in Canada and here in America, and they're saying it's very bad over there. Don't try to defend the leaders in Iran. Like, I do support that. I hope those people rise up and overthrow them. And, I hope that there is a successful revolt against the Islamic regime that has a stranglehold on that region. And I do support that. I found it fascinating that, like, you get the death penalty if you print the Bible in Persian. Like, that's crazy. Like, they are hardcore Islam over there, and I don't support it. I just don't want American kids to be sent over there to die for it. And and I get what you're saying, where you just want America to stay out of the way. And I don't know why we are involving ourselves. I mean, I don't know. I don't want involvement. I'm more of an isolationist. I don't know why Trump is inserting himself in that. I'd have to do more reading.
United States military is so powerful that it's the only force right now that has maintained the stability that has made international trade possible. So if United States needs to be somewhat involved around the world for the world economy to work, because
Right.
without the security that the U.S. military provides, there would be no modern international trade. There's no army in the world that could replace that. That's why
Right.
there needs to be some involvement by the United States around the world.
Yeah, some involvement versus us sending boots on the ground. That is my kind of red line is
Right.
U.S. involvement is when it's costing us
So,
lives, and
all right. And
very amount of money. But
I support, like, that's a very reasonable position to have.
yeah,
I mean, every single country should want to protect the lives of their soldiers, right?
right.
But what I'm trying to say is, and I know you disagree, is that if you want no boots on the ground in foreign countries, then supporting Israel is how you get that, because it's Israeli soldiers there instead of American soldiers having to be there. That's what you're getting out of Israel. Israel is there so American soldiers don't have to be. That's what you get out of supporting Israel.
So you feel that the conflict, the real root of the conflict, is because it sounds like to me that you're saying that the real root of the conflict is they're coming for you. We're just standing. Israel's just standing in the way, and I don't believe that. I don't buy that. I think that the conflict is between those two, and I don't think that.
When Iranians, when the Iranians who support Khamenei and the regime, when they're chanting "Death to America," do you think like they don't mean it when they say that they're going to annihilate Israel and then America? And when every single, like, they start with Allah Akbar, they say "Marg bar velayat faqih," "Marg bar," and they always leave the most important one and the loudest one at the end. So they say "Death to Israel," but they always leave the most important one at the end, and they say "Death to America," and they say that one with the most strength and the most loudest one. That's
Well,
what they like. What do you think they say that? Why do you think the regime constantly chants "Death to America"? Like,
because
what is that the point? Like,
because we are your ally, and that's or Israel's ally, and that's why they are coming for us.
no,
Because we are the power force behind Israel.
that's not the history. No, that's not true. That's not. If you look at the history, they hate Israel because it's actually more the other way around. They hate Israel because Israel is an ally of America more than they hate America because America is an ally of Israel. I mean, all of this, this movement started with Sayyid Qutb coming to America, and then him writing his book about how the depravity and the ungodliness and of America, and how the whole world needs to be like, this ideology started with Muslim Brotherhood and Sayyid Qutb's books on America. So this is where this is all started, and again, eventually, if you look at the domino effect, this came to Iran before the Islamic Revolution of 1979 through
Right.
Nawab Safavi meeting with Sayyid Qutb and basically importing that the ideology of Muslim Brotherhood to Iran and making a Shia version of that. So this actually started with anti-Americanism before it turned into anti-Israeli movement.
Right. So what is it? What does it mean when Jews call Arabs Amalek? Like, what do they think should happen to Amalek? Like, what does that mean?
So which Jews? Because are you talking about some racist Israelis? Because, or
Yeah.
you're talking about, because most Israelis don't think that. Most
Okay.
Israelis respect the Jews, they respect the Arabs. I mean, the best place to be an Arab in the Middle East is Israel. Like, you have more rights and freedom as an Arab, as a citizen of Israel, than any other place in the Middle East. In fact,
Well,
Arabs have more rights.
their leader said that.
Huh?
Or their leader Netanyahu said that. So that's the thing, is that you're
So
talking about, like, you're saying it's a
they were
fringe,
talking about Hamas.
but their leader said that. Netanyahu called them Amalek. He said, and I quote, hold on, let me see what he said. You must remember what Amalek has done to you. It's
Right.
he called them that. So it's a lot of
So was he talking about Arabs or Hamas?
who are getting aid. Like, we see it. It's, there is a lot of self-inflicted conflict there that they are doing to themselves. People just trying to go get aid, journalists getting killed. Netanyahu, and my beef isn't just like, it's not he is making the calls here. I think that he is a very wicked man, and he is calling the shots. I think that he told them to stand down on October 7th to get the death count up. I think that he is the one who is trying to make this into an expansion of territories. My beef is with their leader, and it's not with the people of Israel. I want to make that clear. It's really not with the people of Israel. I think that they have a right to sovereignty. I think they have a right to defend themselves and be a country, and and have families and live a life of happiness, worshiping their God and freedoms and all that. I think that Israel has that right. My issue is with the wickedness of their leader, who is stirring a lot of conflict that he is dragging America into. And that is where my conflict is, or that is where, my issue is with him. He just referred to them as Amalek. That is like, he is antagonizing them. He is very much so a key point in this. Like, he is just a key factor in this entire conflict. And I think it's the reason it has continued on for so long, when it could have, we could have had a solution a long time ago. He doesn't want a solution. He doesn't want peace. Netanyahu doesn't want peace. You can't tell me he wants peace. So that's my position on that.
Okay, so when he said Amalek, I mean, this is wasn't referring to Arabs. He was referring to Hamas.
Okay.
And also when it comes to, again, I'm going to repeat myself, when it comes to a stand and order, I mean, I haven't seen a single evidence for that.
Right. And I agree to disagree.
Okay. And also with regards to Israel versus Netanyahu, the thing is that right now, Israel, there are some disagreements with Netanyahu over some policies, but when it comes to the strategy against Hamas and the Islamic Republic, Israelis are mostly in agreement. Like, for example, right now, if Netanyahu was not in power, I think the person who would get elected in his place would be Naftali Bennett. And Naftali Bennett is actually more anti-Islamic Republic even than Netanyahu. So when it comes to the war strategy, I don't think the war strategy would change as much. Maybe there would be some more agreements with Hamas over releasing the hostages. I'm not sure, but the overall strategy would be mostly the same. But anyways,
I think the other guy, he was even worse. So that is a good point. I'm running out of time, so I do want to continue this another time. I've learned a lot too, so I don't want to leave this hostile. You know what I'm saying? Because I have learned.
Yeah. I think we had a friendly discussion, even with all the disagreements. It was a good discussion. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because we do agree on the Iran being an Islamic Republic, like a Islam regime. We do agree on there. I think we have a lot of common ground. And would you consider yourself a leftist? Are you left wing, or are you right wing, or what is?
I'm economy. When it comes to the economy, I'm very right leaning.
Okay,
when it comes to free market. When it comes to social issues, I would be probably center left. But when it comes to economy, I'm basically pro-liberty, both on social issues and also on economic issues. I want less government, both in our personal life, and also less government in our economic life.
Interesting. So, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. This has been an interesting discussion. Did you want to ask, and we can continue this another time? I'm sorry that I didn't come prepared to speak on foreign policy, like the intricacies of the war on Gaza and stuff like that. I will go do more research on that, and I will come back more prepared. I was prepared to speak on America's behalf of the foreign influence in our government, lobbyist groups, all that stuff, but I can go back and get more prepared to speak on this. But I have enjoyed the conversation. But let's do one final question, or if you want to wrap it up with questions or anything.
No, final question is, where can people find you and where can people follow you if they want to follow your work? I'm just going to put your link again because we could continue this conversation later. I'm just going to use this. I'm going to stay with our audience to respond to the super chats after you're gone. But can you just let people know how they can follow your work?
I have until 3:35 Eastern. So I have 6 minutes if you want to do anything else. But no, that's great. You can follow me on Lauren Witzke DE on X. I'm also on Telegram and Instagram as well at Lauren Witzke DE. So DE as in Delaware. So I really appreciate you having me.
Guys, link is in the description. Go follow her there. And thank you so much again, Lauren, I like this because we have disagreements, and we could keep it friendly, and it doesn't have to make us against each other. And I just want to advertise that even if we don't change each other's opinions, the fact that we could have these disagreements in a friendly way, I think that's something that we could have more of. And that's
No,
what Charlie, by the way, that's what Charlie was advocating for as well.
yeah,
So
I know.
basically,
It was awful
yeah,
what happened to him, wasn't it? Very sad.
yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I didn't realize you were an atheist. We'll have to debate about that next time.
Yes, let's do that.
Totally.
Okay. Thank you, Lauren. All right, guys. And let's respond to the super chats. How was that? Did you guys enjoy that? I don't know. That was fun. Let me see. How am I gonna zoom out of here so I could see your super chats? Amir gave us a super chat saying, did she see the videos from October 7th? I think she said that she did. I think she did. Yeah. So yeah. Cajun American. I'm seeing anti-Semitic propaganda creep into Red Note. What is Red Note? Okay, thank you for that. Asian American saying the fact that the left can't see Islamic Republic of Iran and PRC as imperialist is racist. Yes. Non-white people can commit colonization too. Yes, for a lot of leftists, imperialism is only a white thing. That's a very good point, Asian American. Which is interesting because actually, guys, I'm going to say something very controversial, and this might get me canceled. When it comes to imperialism, when white people did imperialism, they were the least evil compared to every single other empire in history. Like when it comes to, I'm not talking about the Roman Empire, I'm talking about the British Empire. When it comes to empires, I think the British Empire was the least evil of all empires. Okay. I'm not saying that everything. I'm not saying they didn't do some evil shit. They did, but less than others. Less than others. Okay, Sketch Therapy saying BB saves us billions in shipping and oil by opposing Syria, not not Iran, the Islamic Republic, and Houthis. This is about money. It's cheaper than USA going ourselves. That's exactly true. I completely agree with that, Sketch Therapy. And then Sketch Therapy also gave us a super chat saying USA wants cheap shipping through Suez Canal and oil through our pipes. It's not about God. We save billions because they protect Suez, USA shipping, and USA pipe oil. I guess that's what I said. That's basically the same point I made as well. True. And then Sketch Therapy saying, why is Egypt keeping Gazans in an open air prison? That's very true. And in fact, the border that Gaza has with that Egypt has with Gaza is completely closed off, but the border that Gaza has with Israel has a lot of food and water and medicine going through it, but the border that Gaza has with Egypt has nothing going through it. And then Israel gets all the demonization, and Egypt gets nothing, none of that, even though they have actually a much tighter, a more stricter border policy with Gaza than Israel. I wonder why, guys. I wonder why. Why hasn't it been okay? So a lot of people justify the attacks from Gaza to Israel because of the blockade. If this is about the blockade, then why hasn't been attacks from Gaza to Egypt? If the attacks from Gaza to Israel was about the blockade, then why hasn't there been attacks from Gaza to Egypt? Is it because they're Arabs and they're Jews and it's not about the blockades? It's about being anti Jewish? Yes. The answer is yes. Guys, don't forget to like the stream. And Sketch Therapy saying Islamic nations are all apartheid, every single one of them. True. That I completely agree with that. They're all apartheid and they don't get called apartheid. I mean, why hasn't all the human rights organizations and international institutions that call Israel apartheid, why haven't a single one of them called Pakistan apartheid? And Pakistan, for example, is clearly an apartheid. I mean, they're like, oh, they have called out their human rights violations. Yes, they have, but they don't call it an apartheid, even though it's clearly an apartheid against Ahmadis, at least, and against women, and against all other minorities, religious minorities, against ex-Muslims, against atheists, against Christians. Ivan is saying American aid is like a drug. It gets you hooked and makes you dependent. The Yankees give us money to put us on a leash. I'm very much against it. Yes, I've seen Israelis being against the aid. The aid is not very much, and Israel gets nothing. Like, it just keeps getting demonized for it. Israel's military budget is so much more than the tiny bit that the United States gives it. So just cut it off, and Israel is more than capable of buying the military weaponry that it needs from United States without US aid. So maybe we should just cut it, because it's not that much anyways. Carl is saying, hey Lauren, great debate. Glad that you have reclaimed your life. Wish you all the best at what you do, politics or else. Oh wow, thank you, Carl. That's very sweet. I'm sorry that I didn't read it when she was here. Yeah, guys, I know a lot of you were getting frustrated, but we have to learn to be friendly with people that we might have severe disagreements with. Okay. We need to practice that. We really need to practice that, or else we're not gonna it's not gonna work out. Oh, Carl is saying that was me simping. Okay, okay, never mind. I'll take all of that back, Carl. What the you, what the hell? All right, guys. Like the stream, like the stream. Yeah, you guys see me go very aggressive when I'm like talking to the chat or basically calling out people when I'm reviewing their videos. Like I swear at them, I yell. But when they are next to me and I'm talking to them, I'm very nice. You guys see my tone. Like when I'm reviewing a video and I'm calling somebody else, I don't need to be nice to them because they're not sitting next to me. I'm basically telling you guys how ridiculous and insane their opponents are. So I go very aggressive, and I start swearing, because it's all about, like, we're also basically sitting here and we're trying to uh, express also our frustration. But when you're sitting next to them and speaking to them face to face, you could see my tone completely changes, and I'm very friendly, and I try to maintain a friendly relationship with people that I disagree with. Oh, also, let me see. We got another super chat. Pete saying, Armin, next conversation with an American, you should point out the bill that permanently funds the Navy. You should read it too. Okay. Well, the bill that permanently funds the Navy. I don't know why that is relevant, but I'm going to screenshot it and I'm going to look into it maybe if I remember. If I remember, I'll try to remember that. Okay, guys, thank you for being here. Let me know if you like these types of conversations. If you do like it, then like the stream so that I get rewarded. So I do more of these. If you don't like it, then dislike. Leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts were, and share this conversation with more people. I think this was a very helpful conversation. I think I made Lauren think about, you know, I think I made Lauren a little bit skeptical about some of her positions. So I think it was an effective stream. I think I made some really good points. If you think that I did a good job, please make sure that you share this so that more people see it. Yeah, Chuck is saying, I do respect that she came and had an open talk. Yep, that's good. I like that as well. Mm. All right, guys. Oh, thank you. Christian is saying, you're great. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, I'm going to head out. I appreciate you guys being here with me. I'll see you guys again tomorrow, same time. Say it with me in the chat. I'm Israel Chai, Javisha. See you guys tomorrow.